Yo, it's your boy Ollie. I'm gonna need y'all to fuck.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ollie's Trendsetter Interviews. Today I have George from Viewless. He's a motherfucking legend. Tell us a little bit about what you kind of do and how you're involved in like the fashion industry.
So I own a brand called Viewless Los Angeles, and it's like a men's streetwear brand, but it's definitely like a darker aesthetic than like any other streetwear brand that's kind of coming out there right now. So I think that's something really cool that kind of separates us from like every other brand. Yeah, for example, yeah. So like definitely a darker aesthetic, and yeah, so I own a men's streetwear brand.
That. And so would you consider yourself then like an insider in the fashion industry?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And how long have you been like really working on that and developing that?
So I've had the brand for officially almost 7 years now, but obviously like a lot of like the first 5 years were like trial and error of what we're doing, you know, figuring out my style, what I really wanted for the brand, and then eventually kind of figured all that out. So I've been doing this for 7 years, including like freelance designing merch for like a lot of artists and stuff like that. But officially I would say the brand started about 2 years ago realistically, with like the whole new aesthetic and what we're going for.
Okay, so you had been working on something, but you kind of had like a rebirth within
Yeah,
the
pretty
last
much.
few
Yeah,
years.
exactly. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
So then, obviously being an insider in the fashion world, like you have your own like very unique sense of style. When it came to developing that, what were some different influences from outside of yourself, some external things that factors that helped you form your personal style?
So, I mean, I'm originally from Orange County, so like living in Orange County, it's very like, you know, surf, skate, and that's what I was super into when I was young. But once I moved out to LA, I got really involved with like the whole like underground emo scene and like just like all these underground shows, you know, like fucking punk shows, and just going to fucking a bunch of just like underground emo shows. And that's something that kind of heavily influenced me and what I was doing. And then I was just very influenced by a lot of musicians, like artists, like obviously like I don't like Lil Aaron, fucking Lil Lotus, like Cockboy Click, you know, all those guys. So that kind of influenced me to do what I wanted to do, and I just thought they were so fucking sick. So I was like, damn, like this is something that I really enjoy making, and it just like it just everything came together perfectly, you know. And that's what kind of built me to get this brand started like this, I guess.
Yeah, those are some really solid influences, and I like how it, like you were talking about your brand kind of starting it a few years back and then it having like its renaissance. It kind of seems like that happened a lot with like the different influences you took in as those evolved over time.
Yeah, definitely.
So besides just those outside things that kind of shaped your style, what are some things about your personality and who you are as a person that you let show through in the way that you dress?
Well, I mean, like I've always like loved like a dark aesthetic. Like I don't know, like there's always like I feel like there's always like like fuck dude, like I don't know, like the thing is like I've always been into like really dark shit, and not to be like like not to be like I'm like so fucking depressed or some shit. It's just something that I've always been really into and found really interesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like and the thing is I've always like been super into graphic design, so just seeing like sick ass graphic, like old like band tees and shit like that, you know, like that was shit like I was just super into. And then I mean like that kind of influenced me to change shit up with the brand. But as for me as a person, like I mean I like love going to shows and shit. So I don't know, I used to be like a huge skater like back in high school, and like listen to like a bunch of old pop punk, and yeah.
Okay. There's definitely something really like romantic and beautiful about the darker aesthetic.
No,
right?
yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. And I like how you incorporate that into your styles. And even though it is more of a streetwear brand, like you said, it has an aesthetic of like old band tees and things like that, which you've seen maybe some different streetwear brands have like a collection or a piece that's reminiscent of that, but not so many that focus on that for their entire line. So I think you really have something special there.
Thanks, man.
What are some things that you have coming up? Some different projects you're working on, or what do you have?
Well, yeah, my summer line just came out. It's called Teenage Psycho, so that's something that just came out. I have a collab with my buddy Kagan Hoffman, and then another collab with Lil Aaron, so that's gonna be something pretty sick coming up. And yeah, so I mean, just like all throughout fall, bunch of cool shit happening.
Okay, yo, you got a lot of cool shit on the horizon.
Yeah, so I'm stoked.
Those are some really big names to be collabing with. So one last question. Obviously, our focus here is like sustainability. That's like the thing that I'm most about. What would you say that is one way that the fashion industry could be more environmentally sustainable, just from your perspective?
Environmentally sustainable. I mean, I guess just paying attention to like what kind of materials they're using. You know, like because I studied product development going to college, so that's pretty much like we would pretty much like make sure like every product was getting made correctly. If not, like you'd send them out to like a store like Ross or something like that, you know? You know what I mean? So, but like, I guess just paying attention to what materials you're using and just having product knowledge, you know what I mean? So like knowing exactly what materials you're buying, because a lot of people buy material that like they think is like legit, like buying velvet or whatever in like at the fashion district, and it ends up being like fake velvet or whatever, you know? So I guess just paying attention to like what you're using, try and use more like organic cotton, like what you're doing, and I guess it's just having product knowledge.
Yeah. I think that's something that you touched on that's really important. Is a lot of people want to start a brand, and even myself, like when I first delved into fashion, there's a lot that you don't know. You're like, oh cool, I'm just gonna get some t-shirts, but it's like there's so many different t-shirts to choose from, so many different parts that go into it, as far as like the production of it, and then like all the materials, and it's like, is it organic, is it recycled polyester, like what type, and what are the benefits of like each different type of material.
100%.
Yo, that's really cool. It was a fucking pleasure speaking with you today, George. Yeah. Yo, you heard it here first. Manifest Style Worldwide. There's another Trent Insider interview. Peace.